Order pickup or delivery on the app.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Stocking all the top brands, including Can-Am, Honda, Polaris, Kawasaki, CF Moto, Suzuki, Yamaha, Sea-Doo, Manitow pontoon boats, and Triton trailers. Come check out Nebraska's newest Indian motorcycle dealership, plus score big on their massive selection of side-by-sides, all-terrain vehicles, motorcycles, and power watercraft. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has it all under one roof at their new 27th and I-80 location, and they can't wait to get you set up for the summer.
It's the two-fingered wave on a gravel road. It's letting the kids take dad's truck to prom. It's Friday nights under the lights of a hometown football field. Eustace Body Shop knows small towns. It's where our values are rooted. We treat our people right, and in turn, they treat you, our customer, right. And we give back to our communities. Not much more small town than that. Eustace Body Shop, small town service, big city technology.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
High school basketball fans, take a trip over to the Nebraska High School Sports Hall of Fame while you're in town for state hoops. Admission is free, and it's a great way to learn about some of the greatest athletes and teams to come out of the state, from recently to over 100 years ago in all sports. Learn more about names like Gale Sayers, Johnny Rogers, Bob Gibson, Tom Osborne, and more. Open Wednesday through Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. It's the Nebraska High School Sports Hall of Fame, just north of Haymarket Park at 500 Charleston Street.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, we're back here in our 93.7 The Ticket studios. I'm Jackson Kleinschmidt over here on the ones and twos. Taking you over with a quick little segment here before we send it back to Pinnacle Bank Arena. Nick Sainer on call for our 48th game of the state basketball tournament here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's crazy to think these past 2 weeks we're down to 48. The last one coming up here, it is St. Mary's and Wynot going up against each other in the Class D2 state championship. We'll just take you through a quick recap of today. Early this morning in the Class D1 state championship, it was Johnson Brock versus Howells Dodge. Johnson Brock was able to get it done 61-46. We then moved on to the Class C1 state championship. Asheville Greenwood was able to get it done and win their state title 53-39. We then moved on into the Class A state championship. It was Papillion La Vista South taking on Omaha Westside in a wonderful game. Papillion La Vista South comes on top to win the state title 61-58. Then after that, it was the Class C2 state championship. It was Bergen and Cross County. Bergen was able to win 53-43 to claim the Class C2 state title. And as we just saw and were able to listen to, it was who was this game? It was Scott Catholic and Scotts Bluff. Scott Catholic is able to win 64-49 and claim their state championship. Still to go, our last game of the boys state tournament, the Class D2 state championship will be St. Mary's and Wynot. I think that's how you say that. In the Class D2 state championship, will be St. Mary's and Wynot here coming up in just a little bit. We'll also take you through some of the men's college basketball scoreboard around the league real quick, or around the country, I guess I should say. Duke and Louisville are in a close game, 23-21. Duke is up by 2 with 7:43 left in the first half in the ACC tournament final. That's pretty much the only big game going on right now. NBA, the nationally televised game is the New York Knicks and Golden State, and that is a back-and-forth game right now, heading towards the end of the first quarter with the Knicks up by 1. But let's kind of switch gears here a little bit, talk a little bit of football. I just saw this trade come through from Adam Schefter. This news was reported for the NFL. The 49ers have traded Jordan Mason to the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings are signing Mason to a 2-year deal with $7 million guaranteed. This is a great trade. You know, I wasn't expecting them to go after and trade Jordan Mason. They lost Elijah Mitchell as he left to the Kansas City Chiefs, and now they've traded Jordan Mason over to the Vikings. The Vikings obviously were able to re-sign Aaron Jones, so Jordan Mason will sit behind Aaron Jones. It's a great get. And if you guys have any questions about anything as I talk here just for a little bit, you guys can text into the Starboard Hating text line, 402-464-5685. But yes, Jordan Mason was traded to the Minnesota Vikings. that's been our only free agency news for the NFL today. Obviously, Cooper Kupp signed a deal with the Seahawks the other day, coming back home to his home state of Washington on a 3-year, $45 million deal. But I want to talk about Nebraska football here, as I got some time earlier to talk a little bit with Harrison Arns about some Nebraska football. There was a really, really good press conference this week. 3 of the big transfer guys that came in this offseason, the veteran transfer guys, I guess I should say, Rocco Spindler, Dane Key, and Dason McCullough. We were able to hear from them earlier this week. I kind of want to talk about a couple of the clips. Rocco Spindler said a lot of great things. Obviously, all 3 of them said great things. Rocco Spindler kind of gave his thoughts about what it was like to transition from Notre Dame coming to Nebraska. Obviously, he played in a state championship. A lot of the talk during this press conference was about mat drills and how tough they were to all 3 of these players. I want to play this question real quick that's coming from the presser this week. This is Rocco Spindler talking about what it was like to compete in mat drills after coming from Notre Dame.
Yeah, it was no joke. I'll be honest. I even told my parents, I'm like, I did not know that they take mat drills like this serious. And I mean, it was really tough to, get through and attack it. And it's legit. This is a hard, program to, be a part of. And that's why it's going to get down to 105, but it's going to be the right 105 guys.
Coming from a national championship qualifying runner-up team in Notre Dame, entering the transfer portal, he also said during this presser that he's not really a transfer portal guy. He never thought that he was going to be the one to enter the transfer portal. Obviously, he ends up entering, thinks it's the better, is in his mind the better choice for him, and he comes to Nebraska. To hear him talk about the difficulty of mat drills and how it's one of the hardest things he's been put through, even after going to a very tough school like Notre Dame, that shows the level of what Matt Rhule is doing with the Nebraska football program. It's awesome to see Rocco Spindler come in from a national championship team, talk about how tough this team really is, how the facilities are top-notch in the country, and to have a guy who knows what it's like to get to that level. He also talked about in this presser, he sat down with Dylan Raiola, and Dylan Raiola was just asking him questions about what the team was like, specifics about what it was like to get to that level, and they're trying to apply that going into this year with Nebraska football. It's kind of shifting over to Dane Key. He talked a lot about, his experience, transferring here. A lot of these players talked about similar things. All 3 of them did talk about mat drills. All 3 of them obviously credited that those are quite tough. But Dane Key had a moment here where he kind of talked about how he was recruited and what Dylan Raiola kind of meant to him in his recruitment. Let's take a listen to that one.
Yeah. So Dylan actually, Coach Shorts was here for the bowl game prep for you guys. I didn't go to a bowl game with my previous university, but Dylan was one of the first people to text me when I entered the portal, and it was also because Coach Shorts was also here. But Dylan was one of the first people that texted me, and when I came on my visit, I think Dylan was with me every second of my visit. So I like to pay attention to the little things, and I mean if the guy throwing you the football is around you on your whole visit, most of the other schools didn't do that. So I was just like, okay, this guy wants me to be here, and he wants to throw me the football. So why would I not choose to come be with a really good football player who wants to throw me the ball?
It was really awesome to hear him talk about Dylan Raiola like that. Dylan Raiola obviously has been known over these past couple of years to be a very good peer recruiter. He's obviously going out, trying to get all of the great talent to come to the University of Nebraska. I could tell you a little story kind of about Dylan Raiola. When I was coming to the University of Nebraska 2 years ago, because I graduated in 2023, I came up here for an event called the Mid-Student Day, and at that time was a big visit weekend for Nebraska. Dylan Raiola had decommitted from Ohio State. He came here. I think it was an unofficial visit, but it was a big unofficial visit weekend, having the likes of Dylan Raiola, Ryan Wingo, who ended up going to Texas, Brandon Baker, who also ended up going to Texas, Carter Nelson, who obviously committed here, and a couple other big-name guys at the time. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Dylan Raiola was the only real reason why, Ryan Wingo, a guy who ends up going to Texas, a 5-star recruit who's considering Nebraska because Dylan Raiola is also considering Nebraska. He brings that level of, okay, if he's considering going to the school, it turns me in the direction of I want to consider that school too. And Ryan Wingo obviously gave the school a chance. We made his kind of final cut. Weren't able to obviously land him. Same thing with Brandon Baker. It's kind of ironic they went to the same school in Texas. But Dylan Raiola brings that level of recruitment to the table. He's able to kind of attract higher level recruits, and stars aren't everything, but being able to get these athletes that have this level of talent is just a great thing for the university. That kind of wraps it up. That press conference was great to listen to. If you haven't, I wouldn't recommend, but I don't listen to a lot of his pressers just like through and through. But this week I actually sat down and listened to this full presser through and through. I thought it was great. You get to hear from Matt Rule. Obviously gives updates on the offseason so far as we head into spring ball and the Husker Games event. And obviously they're coming out of team commitment week, which was obviously something that they did for the second time. And we got to hear from 3 of our transfer guys, big veteran guys. I kind of want to talk about Dason a little bit too. I don't want to overshadow him. I didn't pull up one of his clips, but he talked a lot about what it was like. Obviously, when he was at OU, he did play for that team that came here and played back in 2022, which was Mickey Joseph's at the time first game as head coach, or interim head coach, I should say. Excuse me. But he talked about what it was like in the atmosphere, and that kind of drawed his attention when he ended up entering the portal. He also talked about, some of the guys in the room, some of the younger guys in the defensive room on the front 7 there that he thinks that are going to be good. He talked about Williams and Wari. Obviously, he's kind of the big name in our transfer class, 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Another guy that was considering Nebraska ends up going to Missouri. We end up getting Jamar Mosey and his former coach, and Jamar Mosey's son, Isaiah Mosey, ends up coming here. Who's very good friends with Williams Murray. Williams Murray comes here. So it's great to see these Kansas City connections and Missouri connections getting to come over here. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead, get ready to send it back over to Nick Sainert over at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Don't go anywhere. We still got one more game here. It is going to be the Class D2 State Championship here on 93.7 The Ticket. One more game. 48 out of 48 games will be completed here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jackson Kleinschmidt. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. Just a short little time here before we send it over to Pinnacle Bank Arena. Nick Sainert on the call for St. Mary's versus Wynot in the Class D2 State Championship. Thank you guys.